大家好，我是新闻中心的记者志鹏。看到我这一身打扮，就知道我不在新加坡了吧？我在苏格兰的格拉斯哥参与 COP26， 也就是第26届联合国气候变化大会。这场全球瞩目的气候峰会呢，有将近200个国家参与，当然也少不了我们新加坡的代表团啦。此外呢，也有一些新加坡的青年代表和私人企业代表自费前来参与，一起去看看他们在做些什么吧。
I'm Cheryl. And I'm Swati. And we're both from Singapore Youth for Climate Action. One of the main reasons that we flew here is because SYCA have been sending youth to COP over the previous years, trying to make COP, the information from this conference, more equitable to the youth back home in Southeast Asia. And also, we are also bringing the views of like what is happening on our climate issues in our local scene back here into the meetings and negotiations.
I think one of the most impressive things that's happened this COP is the first 2 days with the World Leaders Summit. We've had, major world leaders come in, make high commitments, make really serious arguments that, action needs to happen now. We didn't actually have the access to the venue, but we were all here, we were feeling the energy of this sort of commitment.
I'm crossing finger that there will be a completion of the text of the negotiations, and also there is bigger clarity on like how should they proceed with the Paris Agreement.
This youth campaign, we call it Keep Calm and Love Our Planet. So basically, we supported 2 youth leaders from SICA, the Singapore Youth Climate Action, and to come up with a campaign comprising production of videos and publicity materials. We are going to do some filming here at Glasgow, and the youth leaders are going to, take sound bite and video clip from youth on different parts of the world to ask them about what exactly is the climate challenge that they are facing. I attended COP25 at Madrid, and that was a very, very enlightening experience. I was surrounded by a lot of international community, and I was the only person from ASEAN. So what I feel is Asian voice is a little bit lacking on international platform. So that's why for COP26, once I have the opportunity and offer to speak at a couple of events, I took it up, and then here I am. What I would like to see is even after COP26, when everybody go back to your own countries or own day-to-day work, the momentum should continue. And it should be embraced into our business and also day-to-day action. Our region is in a really, undergoing very fast urbanization, and a lot of infrastructure buildings, will be coming up in the next decade. So how we design, build, and also manage our properties and engaging building users will make a huge difference on the global climate arena. We are still sticking to today's technology and practices. You won't be able to achieve net zero. So that is also why it's important that we need to set ambitious but prudent targets.
Of course, there were options for remote attendance and online attendance, and that's certainly possible. But I think for me, I guess, given the objectives, given the purpose in which I wanted to come here, I felt that being here would allow me to really derive the maximum benefit in terms of the richness of the interaction, the synthesis of different ideas. There was this engagement by a very important superpower, the US. They have now re-entered the fray. and the UK presidency has been very active as well in trying to move things along. And so it has been exciting to hear the slew of initiatives, the slew of pledges, the slew of, for example, the agreement on the deforestation to stop it by 2030. That was a positive move. I think the top line, headline that I would like to personally see, it's really the resurgence of multilateralism, the ability for countries to come together collectively to cooperate on a global problem. Of course, there are going to be the detractors, there are always going to be criticisms, but I think if we can move the needle on that scale, on that topic, on that issue, and we see countries coming together, that would be encouraging.